Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson, and we have got a bit of a banger of an interview, and friend of the fan channel and absolute all-round top bloke, Henry Winter, has sat down and done an interview with Erik Ten Hag, and there's going to be quotes coming out of this all over the gaff, and we're going to get into some of the more juicier bits and what it might mean going forward. Good morning, everybody. That's in the comments saying good morning, blah, 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 blah. It's happening, y'all. Righty then. So let's get into the big ones, the obvious ones, and some of the quite surprising ones, because generally you don't get, and I say generally, but also sadly, the times of getting actual truth, like whole truths, out of these sorts of interviews has long since passed. And as somebody that interviews someone, it's awkward because you go, I know there's things I would like to ask people, and I know that I'm not going to get the entire truth sent back my way when I've asked them. So then you have to go, all right, well, I can't directly ask him that because he's just going to, it's a waste of a question. How do I get something out of this that surprises me, something that's interesting? What's the angle I can come in at to maybe get him to reveal this? And as far as I'm concerned, Henry Winter is in a category of one in terms of the respect he's got amongst everybody in England as a football journalist. And it's a good interview. It's as good as an interview as you're going to get out of Manchester United. And even though things have changed, with people leaving at the club that have made it easier for media around Manchester United, there's still an archaic way of doing things at the club. That being said, let's get into what he said. So he was asked about the Maguire situation, and I'm sure that it was one that he was expecting, and actually he revealed more than I expected him to reveal. I thought he would have just stonewalled it and gone, he's the club captain, and unless someone makes us an offer that we want, that'll be the same way, and blah, blah, blah. But he says, no one would be happy with this situation. Let's say I'm happy here, he's here, and we needed him, he did his job. Not sure about that, but okay. It's also a decision that he has to make. He has high competition at centre-back with Raphael Varane, who's fantastic. But it's a decision he has to make. What is he saying there? Well, he's revealed that there is a decision for Harry Maguire to make. Doesn't confirm that there's a club coming in for him. Doesn't reveal that. I see people are concerned about the hat. Well, see, I can wear the hat normal like this, right? But indoors and on camera, it looks even stupider. So you might as well just show your face a little bit with it in it and rock it Paddington Bear style. What you gonna do? Anyway, Maguire clearly has a decision. I don't think that's a secret. I don't think that's coming as a shock to anybody. I think that is a genuine decision. I think that there will be offers for Harry Maguire because centre-halves are hard to come by. And I think he'll probably be genuinely good at a club that's going to have to defend its box. How much United can get for him is a completely up in the air sort of thing. And people want to know what the brand is. The brand is Through Dark. You might see me rocking quite a lot of Through Dark stuff, but it's Through Dark. And Paul says, am I going to Wembley? Yes, I'm going to Wembley. I think I'm going to drive down with Jay. There's dramas with trains, isn't there? So yeah, Harry Maguire, he's revealed more than I expected him to reveal there. I would have thought he'd play his cards very, very close to his chest, but he's not. He's probably done as much as you could. Did I see Van der Sar just stood down from Ajax? No, I didn't. Might have to look into that a little bit because no, I was not aware of that one. Wowzers. I thought he was going to play this a lot closer to his chest than he needed to be, but he's come out and said it, and that's an interesting one. Next up, you've got David De Gea, and on De Gea staying next season, he says, yes, but I will not say he'll always be my number one because in a club like United, there must be competition in all places. Again, saying more than he had to say. He could have got away with saying, of course he's my number one. He just won Golden Glove. Shut your mouth, right? Saying more than he needed to say there. And what he's saying is, he's correct, and he's correct whether this is De Gea or somebody else, but it's still quite refreshing to hear a manager coming out and saying there has to be competition for places. We have to always be striving. So that's a big one. And he says, you observe the biggest teams you have to be capable of playing out from the back. You use your keeper as a +1 in your back. Otherwise, it's very simple for opponents to put you under pressure. He's literally told you what he's looking for in a goalkeeper and pretty much gone, yeah, but... So that's pretty fascinating in terms of revealing something. Now, it's not something we didn't know. This is the madness, right? You've heard me say that. You've heard the fan channel guys say that. You've heard Statman Dave, United Peoples. You've heard all sorts of people come out and say this thing, right? You've heard Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher covering it. You've heard the BT lads covering it. Like, this isn't... The guy standing next to you in the Stretford end has probably mentioned it at some point. This isn't something we didn't know. But for the manager to come out and put it on the table like that, hey, by the way, yeah, I see what you guys are seeing. Refreshing. Interesting. And on the back of his speech the other day as well, which was quite a powerful sort of sentiment, not holding back in the slightest, not trying to play the game in the slightest. I like it. He did point out that Dave has stepped up at times and improved, which is good to acknowledge because he has. But it also pretty much lays it on the line like, yeah, listen, the final evolution of this football team probably doesn't have David De Gea in it. But much like we've all sort of been pointing out, it does look like he'll probably prioritise other positions ahead of sorting out De Gea and the goalkeeper this season. Someone tagged me in something yesterday, and I forget who it was, but cheers. Kieran Maguire, the football finance expert, had been answering some questions, and he says United can spend up to around 250 million this summer by putting people on those 5-year contracts and spreading it out, amortising the money over time. So it's an interesting one where that we can only spend 100 million come from, but it's good to see someone actually giving you some truth on it. So we'll probably do a little video exploring that. And obviously that doesn't account for any sales as well. So we will cover that at some point this season. Now, on Mason Greenwood, there's still people arguing in the comments back and forward here about Greenwood. And Ten Hag said Mason Greenwood has showed in the past he's capable of that he's scoring in the front row. Scoring 136 times in 130 appearances. But he emphasises it's not his decision whether or not he returns. Now, I think that's pretty clear on what that means from the club's point of view. And I think there's only two options on the table here. The club decided they didn't want the circus around bringing him back after his case was thrown out by CPS in the season. Or they're giving him an extended period of time to get back up to some sort of a speed, and he's been doing a pre-season ahead of pre-season where he'll return. Or they want to sell him. Now, I haven't heard of Mason kickstarting into any sort of training since the decision with CPS. I've only heard that he's annoyed at how United have treated him following that decision. So, I think it's probably fairly clear that the latter is the option that the club are going to go for, in which they'll probably just look to sell him this summer. More than likely abroad is what I would assume. And he'll probably resume his career elsewhere. I don't think he's going to be part of the Manchester United squad. I don't think. I know there's loads of people arguing that, well, he's still with the girl and this, that, and the other, but I wouldn't feel right with him playing at United again. So, and I don't think I'm on my own in that. And you're fully entitled to your own opinion, but I think the club's stance on it has been quite clear, and I feel like it's probably in the long run the better move from the club. In terms of recruitment, He says what we need besides Marcus Rashford is one extra player with goal-scoring abilities, whether it's coming out of our own squad or we have to sign one. And regarding the transfer window, he said in the winter we didn't do anything. We had loan players, obviously Sabitzer and Weghorst and Butland. But when you look around, all the other clubs invested to be in the top four, and we didn't invest. Can't ignore that. We want to be competitive in this league. You have to invest. I need signings, yes. You do see managers go that strong. That's not unusual. And we have seen Manchester United managers also go that strong. The obviously sticking point in the signings front is who the hell's going to own Manchester United next week or in a month? Like, we genuinely do not know. And for all of the leaks, like, the leaks is just public relations. That's all it is. For whatever reason, I don't know what the end game is, but the leaks is public relations. It doesn't matter what the leaks are saying, because all that matters is what actually happens when a contract gets signed and a takeover happens. That's it. It doesn't matter who's a preferred bidder. Oh, I might prefer to sell it to you. It doesn't matter. Who they actually sell it to is who matters more than who the preferred bidder is. If you preferred, just get it done, right? That's it, right? Don't stop fucking about. Because the longer this goes on, the more uncertainty there is. What Ten Hag needs is an owner that comes in and goes, you've got X. Can I go sign? Yes. Can I go sign? Yes. Can I go sign? Yes. Can I sell? Yes. That's all he needs. He needs someone that comes in and goes, boom, 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 boom. Simple as that. Super chat here from Max says, no matter your opinion, can anyone seriously imagine Greenwood training on the same pitch as the women's team and that ending well? They'd all just quit. I don't know what it has to do with the women's team, to be honest. I think any single person, whether you're male or female, has got a right to how they feel about that stuff. And I don't necessarily think it's a question of how do the women feel about it. How does everyone feel about it? I mean, that's what matters. And I think the club has done the right move, in all honesty. Neville says, Maguire will tear it up at West Ham, Everton and Wolves and in Italy. I think you're right. Well, tear it up might be a little bit giddy, but I think he'll be fine. Bye-bye, McTominay, Maguire, Marshall, Alex, and Bayer. Says Lucky Singh. Could be right on that front. The Screaming Donkey says, I'd rather we buy Højlund and Sesko than Kane. They'd be about as much as Kane and give us a longer term plan than Kane does. There's a couple of things at play here. You can't constantly build for the future. You do have to blend the future planning, because here's the thing, right? All the potential in the world doesn't always get realised. You can buy a 25-player squad of the most potential, but sometimes you need older heads to guide them through. And sometimes managers, I mean, certainly nowadays, managers just aren't given the time to see through plans. So there's this weird sort of balancing act that has to happen where it's like you have to show progress every single year, but then you have to keep maintaining that progress every single year. And as soon as there's no longer progress, you can get to fucking pack your shit. There's no mistakes allowed to be happening. And the problem is, there can only be one winner. And when you've got City spending the untold billions of what they've declared they've spent, and with the allegations of corruption, how can anybody else be ultra successful under those circumstances? So you have to be successful, and you can still make progress. But I think there's the harshness to how certain people are treated in terms of, like, Liverpool are probably doing the right thing at the moment. Has Klopp fell off? Or has he maybe not quite got the squad that he wants? Are they happy with him? Probably should be. But I could see them getting rid of him if next season continues on the same sort of slide. What's the point in that? Who are you going to get that's going to do better than what he's just done? And you're going to have to throw money at them. And then you're going to have to change the way the squad works. It's carnage. Now, most people could probably come in and take what Pep's done and do as good. A lot of people. Not Lampard or Gerrard. But lots of people could come and do that. Learn with Legacy Man says, Englishman talking about ethics is always funny. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm responsible for the things that my government that I don't fucking support did 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago? When does it end? The fact of the matter is, I'm comfortable with the things I say. I'm comfortable with the things I do. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. I don't even know who you are away from. You know, would I put things that happened from wherever you're from on you? Bit crazy, isn't it? Brian Casey says, Declan Rice to Bayern seems to be gathering pace. Strange one. That is a strange one. And especially when, Bayern seems like an absolute shit show at the moment, doesn't it? Tim says, do you think as part of the package from the bidders for United, they would have pledged a war chest for Ten Hag? Not sure, you know. Ravi says about Harvey Barnes. We're going to do a video looking at all players relegated and see, you know, who could bring what to us. Damien van der Berg says, have I done a video about Alvarez from Ajax before? Is he decent? Yes, we have. Yes, he is. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like all sorts of shit's going on at Ajax. You probably wouldn't want to be trying to buy anyone from Ajax with everything going on the way it is there. Jerin says, do you think it was the right time for an interview or would have preferred this after the FA Cup final? He's probably going to fuck off on holiday after the FA Cup final. It might have been a good opportunity to do it. I don't know. Is there ever a right time to do it? Did I talk about the Erik Ten Hag interview? Yeah, only for 90% of this video, mate, yeah. Terj says away games will be horrible for Mason. No doubt. Barnes says judging progress on league position and cup progression alone is too basic for some reason. But for some reason, how managers, I think he's going to say this is how managers are judged. Yeah. Yeah, I'll judge, yeah. Luke says Kimmich for 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been all over it. What you saying now? I think Bayern are saying no. I saw something about that. Bayern basically just laughed. What's the black box behind me? It's a printer. Lewis says you need to find players in the sweet spot of having potential to improve while also having European top level, small percentage of players. Yep. Daniel says would love Tielemans, but apparently he doesn't work hard and we need grafters with a good attitude. Ant says hearing rumours of McTominay part X for Casado and Henderson part X for Kane. I'm not hearing that. But I'm sure we're gonna see transfer shit go into absolute overdrive, aren't we? In the next couple of weeks, as soon as the FA Cup's done, as soon as the Champions League is done, journalists all probably fuck off for a week or so on their own holidays, and then it just gets turbo shite, gets written, doesn't it? And then, you know, I'll be standing outside Old Trafford shouting all sorts of nonsense, trying to sift through the shit and the bullshit and trying to figure out what's actually got some sort of a legs and reality to it. Andrew says, don't need to preach to someone that does their own research, but Van der Sar has left because he was incapable of doing the football side without Overmars. It's interesting that he's gone, though. Obviously, Overmars completely fucked up that entire situation, doesn't it? Shane says, does our FFP at Barcelona open the door for a Frankie de Jong transfer this summer? Everything is always for sale at Barcelona. It's whether or not you can meet what they're after with it. But every single thing is always for sale at Barcelona because they are run like an absolute fucking shit show. And they are trying to get Messi back this year. So you could probably go and buy the fucking pitch of Barcelona if you fancied doing that this summer. Every single thing at that fucking new camp is for sale. Don't worry about it. I think you can even have your wedding there if you fancy. Do I see the lone player making way for transfer funds? What do you mean? Where's the hat from? The hat is from Through Dark. Ant says, why can't people understand that CEO is not the same as director of football? That wasn't Van der Sar's job. No, CEO is a totally different role. But ultimately, they're responsible for everything that goes on in the club. Right or wrong. Rhino says they sell their entire academy just to get Messi. They're selling TV rights for 25 years in the future. They don't even know what league they're going to be in 25 years in the future. And they are trying their damnedest to get themselves into the Super League. They are front and centre driving the bus for the Super League. Andrew says, why on earth are people thinking Benzema's available? I'd love him, but it seems a bit of a dream world. 13, 14 years ago, I'd have been all over us getting Benzema. 6 years ago, it might have been all over us getting Benzema. Right now, as good as he would be, probably not the best move, is it, to go get Benzema? Unless there's no other option, in which case, yeah, of course. Righty then, I'm going to wrap it up here. Cheers for tuning in, as always. I think there's more stuff coming out today, but if not, there's definitely some stuff coming out tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Big week, of course. FA Cup at the end of it. I think I've got Lescott coming on to do something with me for 5 ahead of the FA Cup final. So I'll see you in a bizzle. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.